Welcome back to the channel, guys. I hope you're all well. Now, you would have seen in the last video on Tara's little 107, we spent the afternoon, or the evening should I say, getting the engine pulled out, which you should be able to see on the screen. So now we have got the empty engine bay, and obviously an engine sat just over there to my right hand side. But that leaves a bit of a question: what are we going to do in the engine bay while the engine is out? Tara's always wanted to paint the engine bay, and I did say to her, while the engine is out, now is a good time to do that, as we've got all of this room. We haven't got to piss about, we can just get it prepped up and get it painted, which is exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. As I've already said, we are going to be getting all of this engine bay all prepped up. We're going to get it all cleaned out. We're going to get the old radiator removed, and then we can get all of this into some primer. And then once it has been primed, we can get some colour onto it. Now, I'd like to say I'm going to be doing this on my own, but I am not going to be doing it on my own. I have got Tara just here with me, and she's going to be having a go at using a spray gun, as she's never done it before. So I thought, again, what better time to sort of teach her how to do it than on her own car. So the first thing that we need to do, like I've already said, is we need to get this engine bay prepped up, and we're both going to be doing this piece. So I think the first thing that we'll do is we'll remove this bar along with the radiator, which shouldn't be too bad. And then if I get some soap and water for yourself and a cloth, we can get it cleaned out. Then we can get it sort of stripped down. We've got all the wiring to pull out, we've got the washer bottle to pull out, a couple of other bits that side, get everything into the middle, as we're not going to be painting the bulkhead. We are just doing the inner wings and the chassis legs and this front up and over slam panel piece here. So we'll get all that done, then we can get it scotched up, we'll get some primer mixed up, we'll get the car bagged up. Beautiful. And then I'll hand you the gun and you can have a go at painting the first engine there.
Don't be surprised if your floor's going to be purple.
Nah, don't worry about it at all.
Like, reminder of Tara over here, you know.
It's fine.
Best colour anyway, so you'll be alright.
Are you ready?
I think so.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
So, as I've already said, the first thing we need to do is get this engine bay stripped, so that we can get it prepped, primed and painted. And to do that, the first thing I need to do is get the car jacked up and onto some ramps.
How much nicer is that for you?
So much easier. So much easier. Like, I don't think people understand how much of a ball ache it is to get this car onto a ramp.
So with the passenger side up in the air, I could repeat the process for the driver's side, and then I could remove the first piece of plastic trim, which did put up a bit of a fight as the bolts were quite rusty, but eventually after some help with a pry bar, I got it unbolted and pulled off the car.
Nice. It's nice. Very nice.
Then I could unbolt the lower support bar and remove that along with the radiator.
Okay.
One radiator removed.
With the bar.
Next up, it was the washer bottle. And with that off and out the way, I then started to remove everything else in the engine bay that we didn't want to paint, which includes the wiring, some brackets and clips. And with all that off and out the way, I then blew away as much of the dirt and debris as I could with the airline, so that me and Tara could make a start with the prep work. After getting the engine bay scotched up, we could get the car bagged up using some clear sheeting to make sure that we didn't cover the rest of the car with any overspray. And with it all bagged up, I could then get it taped down nice and secure. And once I was happy we had no gaps, I then covered the bulkhead in brown paper to make sure that we didn't get any primer or paint on there either. So with everything covered up, it was time for another blast with the airline, and then Tara and I made a start on getting everything wiped over with a tack cloth. And once we'd wiped everything over, twice, that was the Bugatti's engine bay fully stripped, prepped and ready for some primer. So after mixing up some filler primer, I got it poured into the cup, mixed in some thinners, made sure we had a nice fan pattern, and then set about giving Tara a quick 5-minute lesson on how to use a spray gun, as this is something she's always wanted to be a part of, so I guess this is now a chance.
Oh no. Oh shit. Oh shit. Tara, we seem to have made a mistake.
Why?
This seems to be a turbo, not a supercharger.
Nah.
And yes, we do know that this is a supercharger and not a turbocharger, and we'll get to fitting this later on in the video. But with the first coat of primer done, let's go and see how Tara's got on. So as you can see, that is the first coat of primer, and Tara has done a fantastic job. I can't seem to see any bits that have been missed. I mean, if you see any bits that have been missed, let me know in the comment section. But
No, please don't.
for a first attempt, you've definitely done well there. Definitely
Thank you.
10 out of 10.
Thank you.
That is a good effort.
I mean, like you said, I can't really mess up with primer. Or
No,
this
you
type of
can't.
primer.
You can't really go wrong with primer. And like I say, once that's dry, we've got to flat all of this anyway, so it's not the end of the world.
No.
But that is exactly what we're going to do now. We're going to let that dry, and then I'll come back and we'll get the next coat on. So after mixing up some primer, I set to work going over everything that Tara had just primed. And once I was happy that I'd gone over everywhere and I hadn't missed any bits, and once Tara had finished getting some B-rolls, that was the engine bay fully primed. That is now the second coat of primer. As you can see, it is now on and drying. So what we're now going to do is, I think it's about just gone 9:30 on the night. So I'm still with Tara. She's going to get herself home now. I'm going to get home now and get something to eat, as I am absolutely starving. And we will come back tomorrow. Hopefully this will be dry. We can get this flatted and rekeyed again, and then we'll be able to get the colour into this engine bay. So we'll see you tomorrow. So we are back. And as you can see, after leaving all of the primer to dry overnight, it is now at a point where we can get all of this scotched up. When I say we, I mean Tara is going to make a start in a second and getting all of this scotched up, and then we can turn our attention to getting some paint, which we've got just here. If I pull the lid off very carefully, you can see we've got that purple paint there. Now, I don't quite know who is actually more excited, if it is me or Tara. We've also got Rach. Say hello, Rach.
Hi.
So I don't quite know who's more excited to see that colour in this engine bay, but let's not waste any more time. Let's just get a start, get all this prepped up, and then we can get some paint mixed up and get it in the gun. So before we can paint this engine bay, we need to get the primer flatted and keyed up. Now this makes sure that when we paint it, the paint is going to stick. So I gave Tara a hand, and after about 30 minutes or so, and with both of our arms aching, I could blow away all of the dust. And then while Tara set to work wiping over every piece of this engine bay with a tack cloth, I went to make sure that my spray gun was nice and clean. Then I could get the paint poured into the mixing cup, along with a little bit of thinners, and then after getting it all mixed together, I could get it poured into the cup. And now it's time for Tara's first ever lesson in painting.
Right, so Matt's just mixed up the paint, as you would have just seen in the previous video. So what's going to happen now, he's going to show me what I need to do, explain it to me, and I'm going to give it a go myself. So, wish me luck.
So it's pretty much like the primer.
Right.
Even strokes, press, I can't press it now because paint will fly out, but full pull back on the trigger, even strokes, and past where you're painting. So if you're going to finish here,
Yep.
let go of the trigger here, come past it. Otherwise, if you let go of the trigger there,
Yep.
this bit will have a little bit less paint on than that bit. So you come past it like,
So you're doing the full strip,
so you're getting the
all
whole,
the way down.
and ideally you want to start before, so
Yeah,
from there, round, stop, start, paint,
Yeah,
stop.
yeah. That makes
Have a little go down there. I will be watching.
Now remember, this is Tara's first ever time using a spray gun, and like I've said, this is a great way for her to be part of this build. And after reminding her to overlap her passes, it seems like not only is she learning and getting the hang of it, she was really enjoying herself too. Now if that's not worth hitting the subscribe button for, if you haven't already, then to be honest, I don't know what is. And with Tara all done, she passed the gun back over to me to finish off getting this engine bay into its first coat of base coat. And with that first coat down and everything purple, including my eyes,
Everything's fucking purple! My eyes are fucking purple!
Let's have a look. Let's see. Ah, still brown, bro. Still brown.
off camera I got the second coat down along with the drop coat, so that we could get the clear coat mixed up. And then there was only one thing left to do.
Next stop, engine bay.
So I set to work giving the engine bay 2 coats of lacquer, not to only protect the fresh paint, but to give this engine bay the shine that it deserves. So after getting that second coat down, making sure it was nice and wet, as you can see, this engine bay is looking better than new. So let's go and see what Tara thinks.
And there we go, that is the engine bay all painted, and the last coat that we were getting on was the clear coat. So all we've got left to do now is to let this dry, but I do just want to get one person's opinion on how this looks. So, are you happy?
I am well happy.
Does it look 10 times better?
It does. A million times better. Look how crusty it looks.
Well, it does definitely make a difference, and now that obviously the engine bay is done, it does keep with the rest of the car. So, what's next? Obviously, once this is dried, what is next? The exciting
turbo.
part.
No, joking.
Yeah, that's it. We're going to put the turbo onto the engine. Now, the engine that we have taken out of this is just on the floor over here. But before we even think about doing anything else in this workshop, I'm going to let this dry. So we are going to leave again now. This is probably going to be over a 3 or 4 day period, maybe longer, week, 2 weeks. I don't know. Either way, we're going to leave again now. So from me and Tara, it is goodbye, but when I can talk, we will be back tomorrow to get the supercharger kit fitted onto the engine, where we'll go into that in a bit more depth. So stick around and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
The next day.
So we are back, and it is a new day yet again. As you can probably tell, this video is being broken down into various days, as trying to do all this in one day is pretty impossible. But we have got the engine bay painted. It is just the other side of the camera. But for now, we're going to turn our attention to this little tiny engine that is here on the floor behind me. And more specifically, what we're going to be doing to this engine is we are going to be fitting this Rotrex C15 supercharger that is in my hand here. And what we're going to be doing specifically with this charger is we're going to be getting it fitted onto the engine that is here, like I've already said. Now, the first thing we need to do to get this onto here is, well, to be fair, it doesn't involve any of that. We need to get the engine lifted up, which is why I've already got the straps connected just here. We're going to get the gearbox removed. We're then going to get the engine put onto the engine stand, which is just here. So what we'll do is we'll grab the engine crane, we'll get this lifted, we'll get the gearbox pulled off, we'll get it onto the stand, and then we can make a start on getting this supercharger fitted onto there.
Now this is where the fun begins, but before we get carried away, we do need to remove some more bits from this engine.
Here we have an engine. Barely an engine. More like a lawnmower motor.
So with it on the crane and in position, I could first remove the wiring from the starter motor solenoid and pull the loom up and out the way so that I could access the top bolt. And after getting that removed, I could pull out the bottom bolt. And with that out, I give it a little smack and giving it a bit of a wiggle. That was the starter motor removed.
Starter motor removed.
And with that off and out of the way, I could remove the bell housing bolts so that I was able to get the gearbox removed from the engine. And with all those pulled out the way, and with the help of a pry bar, I could separate the box from the engine and get it pulled off so that we had access to this, the clutch. Now we will tell you later on in the video exactly what clutch we are going to be refitting back into this, but for now let's get this one unbolted, and as I found it was the original one, as you can see. Then I could get the flow oil unbolted and pulled off. And that's the engine ready for the stand. So with the bolts nice and safe, in went the engine stand, up went the engine, then I could get it bolted down nice and secure. Then I could let down the engine crane, and now we're ready for the fun to begin. And first off, it's a new water pump, gasket and bolts. So off came this little bracket, as it's not really needed anyway. Then I unbolted the old water pump, got it pulled off and out the way, then removed the old gasket, and after a wire wheel and a wipe over with a cloth, I got the surface all cleaned up so I could get the new gasket in and the new pump in place. And after putting the bolts in finger tight, just to make sure it is in place, I could offer up the bracket for the charger. And after removing one more bolt, the bracket could go back on and be bolted into position. Not forgetting to torque up the water pump bolts to make sure that we didn't have a leak. Now with the water pump nice and tight, it was time to fit the charger into the bracket. Now we did have an issue with the bolts, and as it turns out this is one of a few issues with this build that we have come across, but we'll tell you about those later on in other videos. But with 2 of the 4 bolts in and tight, how good does this little supercharger look? But for now, let's go and see what the issue is with these bolts. So now we have got the supercharger fitted to the bracket, which is fitted to the engine, and we have also fitted that new water pump. We did have a slight issue with the mounting bolts to the bracket for the supercharger. Now you should be able to see on the screen that issue, and the issue is the recesses for the bolt holes are not deep enough on the right hand side bolts, I think they are. Yeah, right hand side bolts. They're not quite deep enough, so that means these 2 bolts are gonna need to be a little bit longer. Now we have got a solution to that, and that solution is just over here, as you can see. Say hello, Tara.
Hello Tara, why am I the solution?
Because one, you'll be able to see this in just a moment.
What's happened? What solution to what problem, bro?
Right, okay, so
Hold up.
Tara hasn't actually seen this yet, so we'll get Tara's reaction, and then I'll be able to tell her the problem that we're having. Well, it's not a problem, but it's a minor inconvenience. So, are you ready?
So
3, 2, 1. You can see.
I can see.
How excited are you?
Oh my god, is that a turbo?
I mean, how long has that been sat in a box in your bedroom for?
Probably since start of November, end of October.
Couple of months.
Yeah.
So you've been looking at this for the last 2 months in your bedroom, and now the vision that you had in your head is actually starting to come to life. But the issue is, these 2 bolts here, that one there and that one there, they're not deep enough in. That this bracket hasn't been machined enough for that bolt to sit far enough in for it to catch a thread in here. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
So we've got it mounted on this one and this one at the bottom, but these 2 are going to be needed to be replaced, should I say. So what we'll do is I'll quickly pull those bolts out now. We'll give them to you. You can run off to the fasteners, see if they've got some slightly longer bolts.
Text me what you need.
No, you'll have to take them ones with you because you can just match it up.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
It'll literally be the exact same as that, just 10 mil longer. Because obviously at the minute, it's not deep enough to go through the bracket, through the casing of the supercharger, and then pull everything together. So if it's slightly longer,
Is it going in there?
I have no idea. Well, I know it's not going in far enough. That is all we need to know. So we'll quickly whip them out now. I'll give them to Tara. She's going to take them to the fasteners. So while Tara does that, I think what we'll do is we'll get a few more bits bolted back onto there. So I pulled out the 2 bolts that didn't quite fit and gave them to Tara so that she could go and source some that, well, will fit.
I'll see you in a bit.
So while Tara was gone fetching some longer bolts, I got the alternator refitted so that me and my friend Lee can take a look at some of the wiring. So with the last bolt nice and tight, that was the alternator back on. So now that we've got the alternator refitted back onto the engine, along with the supercharger and the bracket, we now can turn our attention to sorting some of the wiring on the back of the engine, as it's a lot easier to get to this now, as opposed to having the engine back into the car.
Now, before I quickly show you the first bit of wiring we need to do, in the box of goodies down here, we've got this split controller for a additional injector, which sits in this boost pipe just here, but we will get to that later on in the video. But for now, what we need to do is we need to look at the original map sensor, which sits in the back of the manifold, hence why it's a lot easier to do this now than with it back in the engine bay. Now, what we need to get wired in is this piece here, and I'm not going to be doing this on my own. I have got a bit of help. So everyone, this is Lee. He is new to the channel, and you will be seeing him a lot more on this channel and the Out of Hours channel, as he's an absolute wizard when it comes to wiring. So, like I say, we're going to get some help with him, but before we get this wired in, I am going to let him explain exactly what this is and what this does.
Right, so this little device, basically voltage regulator circuit. With this map sensor here, as load increases, as the engine RPM increases, you know, it's a vacuum pump basically. This gives the ECU its signal to say how much pressure's in there basically.
Yeah.
Being NA, it's working with ambient pressures, no positive pressure. We're not boosted just yet, but we are about to be.
Not just yet.
So as soon as that extra pressure's in there, that voltage that the ECU is going to see is going to throw a wobbly. What this is going to do, we're going to clamp that voltage to whatever the maximum safe voltage is that the ECU can handle before it triggers a fuel cut on the engine for protection. So we're going to bypass that. So we put this in, any extra voltage, once we've got that boosted pressure going through the inlet manifold, it's going to dump that to ground. The ECU is going to see its standard signal. Fuel's going to continue as normal. Once we've got that extra injector in the intake, that's going to take care of fueling for us. We'll be monitoring AFRs through wideband lambda in the exhaust. That'll keep everything perfect. Fucking mint.
So there you go. That is a perfect explanation of exactly what we're going to do with the wiring on this little engine. So let's not waste any more time. Let's just grab some tools and let's get cracking.
So with Tara down at the fasteners, me and Lee cracked on with the wiring. First I unplugged the sensor and pulled the wires out of the plastic protective trunking, and with that all stripped, Lee set to work chopping some wires.
Chop. Just like that. Like brand new. Next wire. Strip. Another wire. Strip.
On the brown,
The brown was for the earth, weren't it? So it was brown on there to brown on the plug, and then from what we can work out, it's white to one end of the yellow, and then red to the other end of the yellow. So yeah, that's right. It seems right. I wouldn't splice it. We'll splice him.
We'll just shave it a bit.
Yeah, we'll splice into him rather than chopping another one completely. Can we get it in there? It's a little bit tight.
We'll get it in there.
You can do it.
We've got a bit of something there.
He's managed it. Yeah, we've got voltage regulator, brown to brown. One of the other two wires, there's only 3 wires. One goes to that side of the yellow, one that's that side. So we're just eradicating that. So red, left alone. White, temperature, left alone. Obviously red, your voltage in. And then your signal wires.
So that was the wiring diagram that was sent to Tara when she ordered this kit. So we were soldering in this diode exactly as the diagram says to. And with everything soldered in and the wiring left nice and neat, that was the diode complete. But with that done, we did have to say goodbye to Lee, as he did have some other things to do.
Respect.
So after Lee had left, Tara got back from the fasteners and she set to work straight away getting all of the bagging removed so that we had access to the engine bay, so that I could get the loom back in and everything else that we had to get removed to get this bay painted. And with all the protective sheeting removed, first back on was the horn, then the earths along with the little bracket, and then as I refitted the loom to the driver's side, Tara set to work steam cleaning the washer bottle, and once it was all nice and clean, I could get it back into the engine bay, fixing it down with the 2 10mm bolts. And then next up, I could get the bonnet mechanism bolted back into place, and with that secured down, next were the side repeaters along with the wiring. And last but not least, I could get the ABS pump plugged back in. So with the engine bay all put back together after we got it painted, it was time to make the engine look just as pretty, because as you can see, it's pretty dirty. And I did need to get the exhaust manifold wrapped as well. So as I set to work getting the manifold wrapped purple, as that was the colour Tara had chosen, she got to work steam cleaning the entire engine. Now trust me, this wrapping is a tedious process, as you've got to make sure it is nice and tight, as you don't want it falling off. So with that process over and done with, I gave Tara a hand finishing off getting this engine all cleaned up, and after plenty more elbow grease and with our arms pretty much ready to fall off, I could wipe away what was left on the engine, and what a difference that has made. This engine looks brand new. So now we've got the engine all nice and clean, next up it was the auxiliary belt. Now it's not the standard belt, and I did have to get one to suit the measurements I made, as we've removed the air conditioning pump and we've fitted the supercharger. So with the correct size belt now on and tight, and while Tara played with Buddy, I got the exhaust manifold gasket and the freshly wrapped manifold back onto the engine, fastened down, making sure that they are nice and tight as well. And that was the engine clean, built up and ready for the new clutch. So let's go and check out the clutch that we're going to be fitting.
So as you've just seen, we've got the manifold wrapped and back onto the engine. We've got the supercharger back on, along with a new belt, and we've also rewired the alternator, and earlier on we did get the map sensor diode just here wired in round the back as well. So now that we've got all of that done, you may have noticed something else. I have had a fresh trim, so that's the second thing that we've done, as there have been a few days between some of these clips, as we have had to wait for the clutch before we could get the engine off, so we could get the new clutch on, along with the gearbox back on. We can get that clean, and then we can get it all put back into the car. Now, like I say, we have had to wait for that clutch to arrive, which, hallelujah, finally it has arrived. So let's go over there and let's check out what's inside the box.
And now that we've got the box open, I think we've got a free t-shirt there, which is going to be for you. So you can wear that.
Right clothes.
And then we've got a CG Motorsport sticker. That is also for you. We've got a CG Motorsport key ring, which is also for you.
Wish it was purple.
Now, if you didn't already guess, this clutch kit is from CG Motorsports. I will put a link to them somewhere on the screen now, and a link for this kit in the description of this video below. So let's take a look at what we've got in this. We've got the release bearing just there. We're going to need that. And then if we take a look at the pièce de résistance and yeet, get that box out of the way, we can open up this box, which should reveal what we got in here. Give me the box, give me the box. What we got here? We have got a friction disc, which, yeah, that looks, it's tiny and cute, but also meaty and sort of butch at the same time. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's tiny and cute, but like it's yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's going to do the business. Well, I'm hoping it's going to do the business. What do you think?
Bloody hope so for the price.
And then if we take a look at the next part in the box, can I get it out with one hand? It's quite difficult. We did it, and we've got one pressure plate just there. Like, it would have been nice if it was purple, but we're not going to grumble over that too much, as when we couple this with this here, what we got there, flywheel side, so it will go that way in. As you can see, that is what we're going to be getting fitted onto this little engine just here. So let's not waste any more time. Now we've finally got it, let's get the clutch fitted onto the engine, then we can get the gearbox back on, and then we can finally get all of this put back into the car that is there behind me. So without further ado, let's get cracking. Now, before we can get the new clutch fitted, we do need to give the gearbox a good clean, because just like the engine, it is filthy. So the first thing to come off is the gearbox mount, and with that off and out the way, I covered the gearbox in some elbow grease, and while that soaked into the dirt, I painted the gearbox mount, and while that was drying, I went back over to the gearbox, and using a wire wheel on the drill, I agitated all of that dirt and grime and began to steam clean all of that dirt off, hopefully making this gearbox as clean as the engine. So with the outer casing all clean, I removed the release bearing and began again with the wire wheel on a drill to clean out the inside of the box so I could leave it again to soak in some more elbow grease. And while that was soaking, I could get the flywheel cover painted, and then I could get back to it with the steam cleaner to get rid of the rest of that dirt. And after a quick wipe over, I could re-grease the clutch fork and then get the new release bearing fitted onto the shaft. And after checking it all moved freely and smoothly, which you should be able to see that it did, and that was the gearbox cleaned and fitted with that new release bearing. But before I could refit this back to the engine, I got the crane positioned back over the engine so I could get it strapped up, lifted up, and get the engine pulled off of the stand. And then I could soak the back casing in some more elbow grease before again steam cleaning away all of that dirt and grime. So with that all steamed, I gave it a quick wipe down with a cloth, and what a difference some soap and steam can make. Then I roughed up and cleaned the flywheel before I got it back onto the engine and fastened back down. And next up is that clutch from CG Motorsport. So again, big thank you to those for supplying this clutch, and after making sure it was the correct way around, onto the flywheel it went, and after getting it fastened down, I made sure it was in the correct position so that I could get the nice and freshly clean gearbox back onto the engine and get that fastened down with all of the bellows bolts to make sure that it stays nice and tight. Then next up it was the cover plate that is held on with the two 14mm, and with that in place I didn't want to forget the one at the front. Then I could get the starter motor back into position, bolted down, and get the wiring for the solenoid reconnected as well. And with all that back together, how cool does this little engine look? So let's go and get Tara and let her see it for the first time.
So now that we've got the engine and the gearbox all back together and we are ready to put it back into the car, before we think about doing that, I am going to get the car moved from here over onto the ramp, as it's just going to be a lot easier to do that back over there. But before we do all of that and we get the engine back in, there is one person that needs to see this, and that person is Tara. Now, at the point of filming this clip or this part of the video, it is Thursday evening, and we had planned on her coming and we're doing bits and pieces on this, but I've been a little bit busy throughout the day. I've got a bit carried away, and as you can see, like I've just shown you in the last clips, we've got the gearbox on, we've got the CG Motorsport clutch in there as well. We've got the starter motor back on, we've got some bits and pieces painted. So that is now looking pretty, and that's the reason why I wanted her to see this before it goes back in, as it's not my vision, all of this is Tara's vision. So she has just turned up, I think. So in the next clip, I'll be with Tara and we can get her reaction to seeing all of this finally put together. Now we're recording. Right, I am going to cover your eyes, so just walk towards me. Keep walking. I'll tell you what, right, keep your eyes closed. It's going to be easier. Hold my hand. Right, keep coming, keep coming, keep your eyes closed, keep your eyes closed.
I'm trying, I feel like there's going to be...
It's all right, I'm not going to let you smack into anything, I promise.
I trust you.
Right, now keep walking a bit further forward, turn towards me, this way. Right, and in 3, 2, 1, open your eyes.
Okay, now, you've really got to work. You've got all the wires in and everything.
It's complete.
Oh my god.
It is now ready to go back into the engine bay.
Okay, now. That looks...
Your dream is finally now reality. It's no longer just a dream.
I know, bro. Oh, it's still not set in. Hang on, let me just...
It's no longer just a dream. You wanted a supercharged 107, and there is the engine for...
Yeah, you've been fucking busy.
Your supercharged 107. And not that you can see it, but we've got the clutch in there. We've got the release bearing, all that's done. I've been busy cleaning all the gearbox. It's cleaned. It's cleaned on the inside as well. I've repainted the mounts.
I thought you fucking had.
I've repainted the mount, and then if you come round the back down here, that plate that you've seen in my lap was that plate just there. Can you see?
Oh shit!
It was that plate just there.
I wouldn't have even known that.
And then again round the back here, we've got the starter motor on and all wired up.
Damn.
I've been busy, man.
You've been busy, man.
I've been real busy.
Oh my god.
But you do have one job to do now.
What's my one?
And that is to help me push Peggy from here back over onto the ramp. And then your next job is to help me get this put back into the bay. Because before we leave here tonight, that engine is going to be back in that hole. What do you reckon?
Absolutely.
Right, so let's not waste any more time. How's it go? Grab some tools, let's get cracking.
Okay.
Like she says, let's grab some tools and let's get cracking.
So the first thing I needed to do was get the engine and the engine crane pushed out of the way, so I was able to get the car jacked up at the front so I could remove the ramps from under the front wheels and get it back down onto the floor. Then we could remove the rest of the plastic sheeting, and then began the 3 million point turn to get the car pushed out of one space so we could push it out of the workshop and back in onto the ramp, as it just makes life a lot easier getting this engine put back into place. So after getting the ramp into position and narrowly avoiding a trip to A&E,
Camera follow this. Right, son of, boy, that was close. I nearly died. Wow, those are lethal.
I could get the car sent up into the air so I could get the wheels pulled back off for the last time so we can get this engine back into place. So with the wheels back off, next up are the drive shafts. So with both of those pulled off and out the way, I could then get the engine crane into position below the car and pull the crane out the way so that I was able to lower the car down over the engine. And then using the crane again, lift the engine back up into place. And after loosely fitting the engine mount, I could get the gearbox mount fastened down, followed by the engine mount, and I could then lower and remove the engine crane, get the strap untied and out of the way, and finally we have the freshly supercharged engine back into the freshly painted bay. And how cool does that look? So let's go and check out what we've already done.
So as you've just seen, we have got the engine back into the engine bay. We've got the driver's side mount done there. We've got the gearbox mount done up just there. And most importantly, we have got that supercharger just there, bolted onto the engine, which, as you can see, is now bolted into the car. So I am going to end this video here. So if you want to see this engine be started for the first time and also the first drive of the Pugatti, make sure to hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you lot in the next one. So as always, thanks for watching, thanks for following. You know how it goes, fucking mint. Are you ready? In 3, 2, 1, turn the key.